From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
The name's Duke Nukem, and you're watching the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. I don't know why, but you are.
Nerds, what is going on? It's episode 2 of this year's NERDMAS. We are talking about Christmas Chronicles Part 2. Last week we talked about
the... just dose.
What?
Is it part 2 or is it dos?
It says part 2.
Oh,
I would assume for the Spanish audience it was probably dos. I'm gonna pay for that one.
I don't even need to do anything. You're paying for it by yourself.
Yeah. Last week we talked about the first one. Now we're going to talk about the second one. Both are on Netflix. This one, if I read it correctly, came out in 2020, November 25th, 2020. It is directed by Chris Columbus, for people that don't know who he is. Try the first 2 Harry Potters.
I wouldn't say the best 2 Harry Potters, but definitely the 2 that are closest to the book.
No, the first 2. Like,
that's what I just said.
Oh.
I said they might not be the best 2 Harry Potters.
Oh, that's what
you said. That are closest to the book.
Okay, all right. He's also done Mrs. Doubtfire, Home Alone 2, Gremlins, The Goonies, and Young Sherlock Holmes. For anybody who
we should watch The Goonies.
I've never seen it.
You'd like The Goonies.
And I feel like you knew I was going to say that.
I
always bet the under if AJ has seen it or not, because guess what? He hasn't.
There's pretty good odds that work in my favor.
Once again,
have you seen Little Rascals?
Yes, the old and the new.
Okay, then okay, we're chill.
Does that make you feel a little bit better?
Yes.
About my movie knowledge at all?
Yes.
Which I really don't have any, unless it's superhero related, Disney related, or apparently Christmas related.
I found more Christmas movies.
Oh dear God, no! For next year, please. But it stars Kurt Russell. Goldie Hawn has more of a showing in this movie, which I was really happy about. She only had that little cameo at the end, in the first one. Kimberly Williams Presley, Tyrese Gibson from Fast and the Furious fame is in here. Darby Camp once again playing Katie. So Susie, what did you like the idea of having this movie start out in Cancun? Being somewhere warm for Christmas. I know, being from up here, it's weird to see people in shorts and say Merry Christmas is literally like tomorrow, but shorts. Feels weird.
I don't know that I could ever experience Christmas in shorts.
Right?
Christmas is strictly sweatpants, sweatshirt. It's pajama weather.
So
it's fleecy, comfy pajama weather.
So that's kind of the opening setting. We do get a little bit of a view of Mr. Evil Elf.
There is no
Belsnickel.
There is no elf that is ever going to be superior or better than Bernard.
Yes. But this one is he's supposed to be an evil one. An elf gone bad, and when they go bad they turn human. Played by Julian Dennison. If you guys remember, he was in Deadpool 2. Played Rusty, the flame guy.
Oh. Was
know.
he Rusty in Deadpool versus Wolverine?
I don't think he was in Deadpool Wolverine. You're gonna go look it up and make to fact check me, but I'm pretty sure. Um, so it looks like there's gonna be some evil plan against Santa Claus that we're gonna find out through this movie. But we find out that Katie and Teddy are very much weirded out that their mother is starting to date again after what 2 years uh of after their father passed away and her husband passes away. And they realize that Tyrese's character has a kid in the movie, and everybody looks like they're getting along. It's just that feeling of new parent alert kind of thing. Um, which we'll get back to that later after a very touching moment at Logan International in 1990 or 1980. No, yeah, 1990. That they go back to. But Susie, did you think Christmas Chronicles needed a sequel?
No.
After watching the second one, are you happy they put out a sequel?
Yes.
Same here. Very much same here. I loved this movie. Honestly, already above the second one. I thought the first one was good. You kind of said it last week that you were excited for me to watch the second one because you thought I was going to like the second one better. And cha-ching! It worked! It happened! But is it me or did this movie kind of have like a Grinch Stole Christmas kind of vibe to it?
I think it was supposed to have a Grinch Stole Christmas kind of vibe to it. Mainly because, like, if you watch a lot of Christmas movies, that is 90% the trope.
Okay.
And I think they were doing a spoof on it. And I think
in a way,
did,
yeah.
Yeah, I think they did it spectacularly well. I didn't feel like I was watching another How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie. And I also didn't feel like it was just another Christmas movie. Like, we actually, they put a lot of thought into Christmas Town. We got to explore Christmas Town.
Well, hold on. It's not called Christmas Town.
It's not called Christmas Town, but my brain is just not.
Well, usually it's called Santa's Village.
This is not called Santa's Village.
It's called Mrs. Claus's Village.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt Russell plays it so deadpan. It was like, well, I'm the one that found it, but that was over 1,700 years ago. Yeah, sure. I guess it's about. We could change it. It's fine. And then from the rest of the movie, they call it Mrs. Claus's Village. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Which is so much better.
Because she's the one that decorated everything.
Mm-hmm. I feel like even though like Santa puts a lot of time into like his village and to his people, I feel like Mrs. Claus is like really there for like all the nitty gritty like details.
He's a straight boss.
Yeah. Goldie Hawn plays an amazing Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, like, I was really shocked by that too.
I wasn't.
I didn't know how it was. Like, I love Goldie Hawn. I do. But you got to remember, we grew up with Goldie Hawn. Like, and now we see her as Mrs. Claus. It's like, it's like Vanessa Hudgens in that one. It was a movie or TV series that she's a mom now, and I'm like, I remember when she was in High School Musical. What do you mean she's a mom now?
Yeah, but that's like, I think for me, part of the reason I love Christmas Chronicles too, is that Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn have been together for years. So you see an awesome celebrity power couple.
Yeah, 1983 to now.
Mm-hmm. And it's just it's mystifying to me. I love it.
It was very cool to see that, their dynamic kind of come through in this movie. And they don't have any kids. They have the elves, and you could see how both of them were very much there's kids up here. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
But what'd you think of kind of like the Grinch aspect of the movie with Bill Nickel? Or Nickel? Hold on, my brain's farting. Bell Snickle. The Bad Elf. You want to just call him Bad Elf? So we don't have to do this again? Because that's kind of what I'm going to do now. Because me trying to pronounce names apparently just, flush.
You didn't even just mispronounce it. You completely devoid letters. um, I see. I love how The Grinch Stole Christmas. So, like, if I were to sit here and compare him to like a Grinch,
Oh shit.
it would probably be Benedict Cumberbatch's.
Okay.
Because I feel like he's a little more devious. But that also begs the question of, do you feel like he had every right to be a Grinch?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think he did. I think that there's a lot of I I lost my train of thought, but
As I'm still doing research on this movie. While you're doing that, the guy that plays Doug at
mhm,
Logan International when they get thrown back in time, which
mhm,
ends up being her father, awesome moment for Katie.
yeah,
Um, is Sonny Solchik, and do you know who he plays? Well, you might
no,
not. Um, in the new God of War games, he plays Atreus,
hmm,
and I was like, I've heard his voice before. I've heard it. I can't picture it. Do you know who he looks like though? And he's not. You
yeah,
remember? You ever watch Once Upon a Time, the ABC Disney
yeah.
show? He looks like Henry. It's
Oh,
not him though.
should be him.
I mean, that would have been cool,
Come on, Luke.
but Suze, with everything this movie brought, there was so much heart in it. Just like the first Christmas Chronicles. This one had a little bit more of a actiony to it, to a certain extent. Has another great musical number from Kurt Russell
Hmm.
and the whole TSA agents and flight attendants at Logan International in that scene. But when you go back to Christmas movies, where does this end up? Are we talking all time, or just ones that we've done in the podcast? Okay, and then where's the
All the
first?
ones that I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, you can't say, "Hey, that's a great one. Never seen it, but it was good." Because looking right now, IMDb gives it a 6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is 66 out of 10. Letterbox is a 2.4 out of 5, which is weird because if you go back to the first one, as I'm doing right now, uh, this one, part two, was rated lower than the first one,
So
uh,
I
and I don't really agree with that.
no, and most people don't. The problem with sequels is that a lot of people expect more out of them than what you should reasonably expect. And I feel like this delivered. Um it it, it did not surpass expectations. It definitely met them.
Mm-hmm.
Um but it didn't give us a false sense of hope for something that wasn't going to happen. Part of the reason sequels a lot of times get rated lower is because we amp ourselves up that we're expecting something in a sequel and then it doesn't happen. So, then we're left, disappointed and, we don't feel like the movie was good enough. And it's, and I do it all the time. Like I will amp myself up for a sequel because as everyone very well knows, I love dinosaurs and Jurassic. Um, I amped myself up for the sequels because I got very, very excited.
They
But
they were good when we first saw them.
so,
Going back and seeing them,
but like even you, AJ, has seen me go before I go into a theater. I go, okay, I need to take a deep breath. I need to lower my expectations because I know if I walk in there with as high expectations as I have, it's going to be 10 times worse. And that's what I experienced with Dominion is I went in with very, very high expectations and
she actually does this, and she's usually the first person in line, or second person in line. First person holds the door open. We're all going into the same door. She stops, and everybody just dunk, 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 dunk. What happened? I'm ready. It actually happened. It wasn't just a thing that she does mentally. She literally, doors open, there's the theater, and she.
Okay,
Hey.
wait till we get our tickets. I normally do it after we get our tickets.
Yeah, but you still do the freaking traffic jam, and I feel bad for the people that aren't in our group that are like, do they have
Who aren't used to my habits.
Are we gonna have a special needs child in our movie?
Yeah, it's me. There's a reason why I haven't gone to see Wicked yet, because
You'll sing the
I'm the
whole
problem.
thing.
I will, 100%.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having other people special needs in the movies. I'm just saying Susie's that weirdo at the front of the line just. All right, I'm ready. Like, brace yourselves. Like, I was that person going to see scary movies in theaters. And that's hilarious. But back to the original aspect of what I asked you.
Mm.
I don't know if it's because of this podcast and us doing a lot of reviews where I've been able to just, all right, well, the first one was good. Let's see the second one, to kind of separate them. I wanted this movie to be at least as good as the first one, but it knocked it out of the park for me. There was, I felt, more heart in this, not just with Katie and Santa going back to 1990 and her paying with a $20 bill that's from 2020, which was weird. What great call, because our money does look completely different now. It looks like Monopoly money. But it has a family extending that kids at that age, teenagers, are probably in. It looked legit, like real, like we just want our mom to be happy, but we also don't want to forget about dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I feel that.
The other thing that in watching as many movies as we have and sequels and everything else, one of my big sticking points is, can a sequel stand on its own?
Oh yeah,
Meaning,
you can miss the first one.
Yeah. So, and like there are sequels that I have watched that I'm like, oh, I needed to watch the first one. Well, that's disappointing. I didn't want to watch the first one. I was only interested in this one because of this actor.
Yeah.
Like, so, but this one 100% can stand on its own. You will not miss anything. Like, by not watching the first movie, you can 100% go straight into Christmas Chronicles 2. It's just, it's all around. It's just a really good, feel good movie.
Yeah, and it hits you when it needs to hit you. It throws nostalgia at you when it needs to throw nostalgia at you. And it makes you kind of reflect on a lot of stuff as well throughout this movie. And it has a lot to do with how the main characters kind of address stuff that's happening in the movie. Like, she's not ready for her mom to move on, even though her mom is ready to move on.
Yeah.
And seeing that with a lot of friends and their parents that have had parents pass away or divorce, or it's a legit thing. You want your mom to be happy, but you also don't want to forget all the stuff that's happened in the past. So I was really taken aback with that step that they took through this movie and how well they did it. But overall, it's a Christmas movie. I definitely need some of those gingerbread cookies that explode. I'd be in my car just line of destruction right behind me just because of gingerbread cookies.
I will say though that because you would ask me about the villain, and I think that in this instance, Belsnickel is like the ultimate bad human. I wouldn't say yes, bad elf, but he turns into a bad elf because he wasn't getting as much attention as he wanted and felt
Yeah.
he deserved. So, and I mean, I even had it as a kid and growing into an adult that to realize that I didn't need as much attention as I felt I deserved or I wanted. I was pretty much self-sufficient.
Do you think it had something to do with kind of like how teenagers are,
Yeah.
where where you don't have to be coddled, but yet
Hmm.
you in your mind you're like, well, where's all the recognition that I was getting?
Yeah. It's
Where did all that
exactly.
go? And then
Yeah.
he just rebels. He
Hmm.
legit, kind of like Katie does,
Yeah.
just not on a full extent of stealing Christmas.
Yeah. So I mean, I find that like really interesting that they took that particular twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I would compare him to Benedict Cumberbatch's The Grinch, because he's devious and feels like, and I mean, we find out in The Grinch that he's abandoned, he's an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, he's not an orphan, but he feels like he needs more recognition for all of his achievements, and he's not getting that, and it's just a whole downward spiral. So I feel like you could almost parallel the two stories.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I gotta rank this. You can either watch one or the other or both of them. It doesn't matter. They're both really good, and they're
Mhm.
really good Christmas movies. Even if you take Christmas out and replace Santa Claus with somebody else or just a regular person, I feel like this movie is still pretty good.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree.
But yeah, this ranks right up there, right along with um, Polar Express for me. Uh, Die Hard now. Um, I knew it. I knew. I was betting on the eye roll. um, the Jim Carrey Grinch for me. We don't talk about an elf. I'm not a fan of it.
See, for me, I would have to say probably Spirited Away. Um, because while you're not a Will Ferrell fan, he's really good in that movie. Elf is low for me. I don't particularly like Will Ferrell in that movie.
Spirited Away gets a bone, like a plus to it
Yeah,
because Ryan Reynolds is also in it.
and it's not called Spirited Away. I misspoke. It's called Spirited.
Yeah, Spirited
Spirited
Away
Away
is
simply
the
is a different movie.
Studio
Um,
Ghibli movie.
um,
Which, ha! I didn't make that mistake. You did.
I did. But I caught myself. So, Christmas Chronicles is up here. Um, there's a couple that are like really good. Like I have a good top 10. I have a couple that I have to watch every year. Um, not because they're that good, but because they're like staples for
Mhm.
me for Christmas. Um, and some that I can't find anymore. Um, but I'm happy that these are on Netflix because I get to watch my Christmas specials every year. It's just a great time for me.
All right, Susan. Well, we're gonna have a special episode for everybody coming out on Christmas. It's gonna be Red One. I think that's on Amazon
Prime.
Prime. So we'll have that one for you guys. It'll come out on Christmas. We won't record it on Christmas, obviously. We're gonna record it within the next couple days. But everybody, take care. Since this is gonna be really our only time before the holidays to say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
And
Have
stay
a
safe. Safe
yes.
travels, safe everything. Just it's a crazy, crazy world. So
All right, everybody, take care. Be good.
bye.
Bye.